The Team Never Quit podcast is brought to you by Navy Federal Credit Union, and thanks to their flexible terms, you can use Navy Federal's savings options for all kinds of goals, short or long term. You can check all of this out at NavyFederal.org. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the Team Never Quit podcast. As always, thank you guys for listening and watching, and please hit that like and subscribe button if you'd like to see the show. So today, before we kick it off with our special guest, let's get to our weekly Patreon question. This week, we have got, what is one thing that you're looking forward to this year? Forward to doing?
Mine is we leave for vacation on Monday. I love to travel, so definitely vacation is like the highlight. We only take like a really big vacation probably every 2 to 3 years, so it's here. It's finally here, and I'm very excited.
Got me again. I really look forward to summer. It's like
Is that your season?
Yeah, that's my season. I was born in July. That's my summer.
Yeah.
Summer is just, there's something about the season that makes me just want to relax a little bit.
Yeah.
Not that I actually do.
Yeah.
I think summer, I look forward to summer.
That's a good, our vacation coming up.
Yeah.
That summertime vibe, when that kicks around, you can feel it.
Isn't it? It's a different
It's almost
feel.
Remember when we go on deployments, every 3 months you get tired of something. It's like same with this. By the time you get tired of summer, 3 months, it's gone. By the time you get tired of winter, 3 months, it's gone. So I look forward to the summertime because it's relaxing. This vacation, I believe, I'm actually going on vacation. I'm going to go on vacation.
Like for the first time. Normally
I've been on vacation.
Yeah. But he's always felt like he's had to do it. Like he's just tagging along. And this is the first time I think he's allowing his mind to just be on vacation.
Dude, make me a promise and actually do that.
Yeah.
These people that go on vacation, it stresses them out to the max.
Yeah.
What's the itinerary? Don't have an itinerary.
Yeah.
Absolutely do not.
Leave
Just
that
go
to
with the
me.
flow.
Yeah.
I'm trying, bro. I'm going to try, man. I swear. Like, I really do try hard, man. I'm not kidding. It's, you know how
We see it.
Like, I drank the Team Got Kool-Aid. Up until I was probably throwing it up out of my nose. All right, so it took a lot to get that stuff out of me.
Yeah, I bet.
It did. All right, man. Well, thanks for doing this.
Oh,
Hunter, what do you
my
got? You
pleasure.
got anything you're looking forward to?
One thing that I'm really looking forward to is seeing Jaden Daniels in an NFL jersey. I just cannot wait to see him tear up the NFL.
Hunter's big sports
Well, if
fan.
you wanted to get technical
I get
about it,
that.
I'm really looking forward to football season. I always
I
am.
know.
So that's
Give me
it.
some LSU football too, and I'm back in business.
Amen. All right, brother. Well, JJ, thanks for doing this. Thanks for coming
Pleasure.
on, man. I can't wait for everybody to hear your story. It's the way we do this. We're gonna back it up, everybody, to where you're from.
Okay.
All right. So where were you born?
So, born in an interesting place, Brockton, Massachusetts. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's known as the City of Champions. I grew up 2 streets over. It's a true story. 2 streets over from Marvelous Marvin Hagler.
Really?
Grew up with his kids. Yep.
Is that true? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. I do that.
Yep.
I really love that. I grew up watching that dude, man.
The best. The best.
Him, Sugar Ray, all them guys.
Yep. Marvin won that fight, by the way. So I'm just going to throw that out there for all your listeners.
I think it might have been the first boxing match I ever really got into.
What a fight. That's one of those fights you go back, watch over and over and over. There's not many like that.
Marvelous Marvin Hagler.
Yeah.
I'll never forget he was scary looking.
Yeah. He had a resting face that was... It basically said, "Do you want to box?
Oh,
Do you want to box?"
yeah.
Rarely did we ever see Marvin, obviously busy, but his first set of kids, younger kids, Champ, Monk, Art, I think Art was one of them. And he had a daughter. They grew up 2 streets over from us, so we used to ride our bikes
cool,
around.
man.
Yeah, I was a kid when he moved from Brockton to Hanover, Massachusetts. I kind of just disappeared. What age I was 9, 10, 11. The mother wanted to take us over to the pool, and I saw his pool and I had a boxing glove in the bottom of it, but I didn't tell my mom where I was going. Big mistake. She reamed me out. She goes, "Oh, you disappeared. Went with Marvin Hagler." Yeah, I'm like, "What, you know Marvelous Marvin Hagler?" Anyway, but so Brockton, Massachusetts, boxing city, really. And so my sister I have an older sister, she's 2 years older. She grew up with the Marciano family. Her cohort was Stephen Marciano, Peter Marciano, that whole crew.
Really?
So yeah, all the descendants of the Marcianos.
That's where they're all from. I didn't know that part.
Yeah, Brockton, Mass. Yep.
That's a tough town then. When you say champions, you're talking about fighters.
It is a small Boston in the suburbs.
Oh, check. All right.
Yeah.
I'm seeing.
So it is a tough town to grow up in. I describe it, I was thinking about this the other day. You've got the boroughs in New York. Brockton was broken down on a compass rose, East Brockton, South Brockton, West Brockton. One of the sides was a wealthier side, the west side, which I was lucky enough to grow up in, but we weren't on the wealthy streets.
Got treated like it though, right?
Yeah. Yeah, to say, right? Everything about my childhood today is perspective. So growing up in inner city, very, very diverse, multicultural place. You name it, we had it. Portuguese, big Greek population, Black population, Spanish population, Jewish population. I mean, we had it all. So I grew up, I was blind to all that, which was great in getting raised there. But it was a tough place. Like you walk around the corner, to say the word bully would be an understatement. I mean, kids were always looking for trouble. You went one of two ways at Brockton. You either found a path or you took the bad road, right? That fork was clear. But I grew up there. Mom and dad bought a house in the 70s, just before I was born. My sister had already been born. But I ended up growing up in a path that was, again, looking back in perspective, was more challenging than I thought until I got into my older years. My father left when I was 4 years old. I remember that story vividly. And I say this and I go into detail about it because it matters later on, right? With the whole transition piece. I remember sitting on a bed. It's one of the only, so they say you don't remember memories before the age of 5, right? Scientifically.
Is that the number they're going with?
Yeah. I do remember, the one memory I do remember was my dad came in one night. I was sitting there on my bed playing with pots and pans. Why pots and pans? I have no idea. Maybe
that's all we had.
That's all we could afford. I was thinking about it, right?
Original soundtrack to video games, man.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there with a pot and pan. My dad comes up and he says, I'm going away. Don't know when I'll be back. Just the tone as a child in memory, looking back at that was, you could tell he wasn't coming back. And I could say that definitively today, but I could tell as a child, just a young kid, he wouldn't come back. Which leads me to the rest of it. So ended up with my mom, who worked her ass off every day, raised 2 children, and covered the duties of a father, and made sure we had our basic needs met as a kid. You talk about heroes. We talk about heroes in our class, and we talk about heroes today, but my mother was the true definition of a hero. Selfless. Never wanted a compliment, just did what she had to do, drove on. And in Brockton, tough place. We have winters in Boston that are brutal. We're talking about that brown snow that sticks to the bottom of your car, right? Shoveling snow. I saw from a young age, it was, John, my name's John. Everybody calls me JJ. But John, go shovel the snow. I need help. So you had to shovel it. She had to get to work, right? This was a woman that would pay her bills and read them. And I joke about it with my wife all the time because kids leave the lights on in the house constantly. And I didn't realize it until she came into my life. I would follow them. Click, 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 click. Turn the AC down. The heat down. That's where it comes from. My mother was watching every penny that went in. I mean, down to the kilowatt hour.
Oh yeah, unplugging the toaster.
Unplugging the toaster. That's another one.
So to find out, if you have those plugged in, the microwaves and toasters, they're actively running your energy.
I truly believe people of this generation do not know that. They think it has to be running for it to be using electricity. But if it's plugged into the wall, it's still using electricity. I come from not my parents so much, but my grandparents and all of their siblings, which we were very close with, they all unplugged everything and lights off as soon as you are out of the room. even if you were in the room and it was natural light, you don't need a light on. So I get that.
100%. Yeah, 100%. So yeah, I unknowingly do that today. I still do it. Run around, turn fans up. Like things cost. It was drilled in my mind. Things cost money.
Yeah.
First of all, a light bulb didn't last 6 years.
Yeah.
No.
Can you believe that?
Well, and partly because I broke half of them with balls in the house or hockey pucks.
Yeah, certain children for certain times, right?
Yep. Yeah, so then, so she raised me, and she did a hell of a job. I think she did a hell of a job. I'm here today, and not down the beaten path that I could have taken. So the best thing she did, though, at a young age, was put me into a sport. Right, I got to find something for my kid to do, and so at the age of 3 or 4, she got me on skates. Hockey was big. I come from a hockey town, the Northeast, known for its hockey. I was pushing a chair. I remember pushing the chair. That's how I started at the age of 3 or 4. And then that plays a part because at some point I got pretty good at it. And then I got, really good at it. Well, there's potential here and you could play hockey. I was really into sports in general. And so that kept me busy on that side. But we were latchkey kids. My sister and my sister was raised the same way. Very respectful. We come from a big Italian family. They all lived in north of Boston, Burlington. I don't know if you know the place, but just north of Boston, these towns. Our get-togethers were great. Family was close on my mother's side. My father left. My father's side would, barely know them, if at all, today.
They live in that town?
In Brockton?
Uh-huh.
No,
Okay.
They all live outside of Boston.
Oh, check.
So they were all born Cambridge, Boston, in the North Shore. So, fast forward a little bit, my sister, we were latchkey kids at the age of 9.
Mm.
Like this is where responsibility comes in. This is why responsibility, I mean, it was thrust on us. We didn't have a choice. My mother was working all day long. Never missed a day. I don't even remember her being sick. And if she was, she had a headache, she had migraines, she would go to work. And my sister and I would get off the bus, come home, either prep dinner, we had our own key, wore it around our neck, remember the shoestring. So we were doing that at a very young age, and it shocks me today what's going on with these kids today. But and it was perfectly fine. We had emergency numbers, the listed there. It was like almost like a team guy op, checking in at the TOC every day, right? At the Tactical Operations Center. Listed there. So what, we'd call, she'd make sure we were safe. We had our code word, and then as we got older, it got easier and easier. We didn't have to check in all the time. That was my childhood. And my mother leveraged everything. So the hockey story comes back. So I decide Brockton at the time, I think, I don't know if you want to fact check, not on the Google, but Brockton High at the time in the 80s had one of the biggest high school populations, was one of the biggest high schools east of the Mississippi. I don't know if you remember, they were known for their football team. The Marcianos, I mean, they could pick from, it was like going out recruiting and picking, because you had such a diverse culture in Brockton that they picked and ended up 1988, 87, 88 on the cover of Sports Illustrated for high school football, Super Bowl, or whatever it is. They had years, almost a decade worth of just great football there. It was Coach Colombo was the guy, and he was related to the Marcianos, I think, in some way. But anyway, they had killer football program. Ended up winning it and doing all these things, going on to great things. And some of the players went to the NFL. Rudy Harris, I remember some of the names. McMurtry went to Michigan. They had great prospects there. And I decided at some point, just, and knowing some people that went to Boston College High School, all boys private prep in Dorchester, Massachusetts. BC High.
Dorchester.
I
know that town.
Yeah. Do you?
Yeah, I do. Wahlberg's from there.
Yeah, that's right.
I sure do.
That's
I got an in there, bro.
Yeah.
I'm from the South,
I got
man, but I can roll up
I got a
north.
Wahlberg story for you. So I wanted to play competitive hockey. I really liked it. I had, no other path. I'm interested in anything else. Can I swear on the show?
Yeah.
It was a shit show in school during my elementary years, right? Just the boy that didn't care. The ADHD. I couldn't pay attention. 16 minuses in a class with complete, just making my way through it, figuring life out a little bit. and continued to play hockey. But when I hit junior high school, so we had grades 1 through 6, then 7, 8. And Brockton had a junior high for every part of those stats. So we had a West Junior High, North Junior High, South Junior High, East Junior High. That's how big it was. They all fed into the Brockton High School system. I decided my sister went to public school. I decided at some point, if I want to play hockey and I'm really passionate about the sport, I got to go to one of these private schools because that's the only way. They're feeders. These Catholic schools. They had a Catholic conference, they used to call it, in Boston, and they used to feed all the schools. And so Boston College High School, which at the time was probably about $4,300, which back in the early 90s was a lot of money. A lot of money for most people. Think about it with a single mom who, we barely got by. No, I say that all my needs were met. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't, wasn't wearing cloth shoes or anything like that. But I had everything extra. We had a pool. They had a pool put in when they built the house. So the water, that's the water piece that came in. I would spend my time as a child alone in that pool, teaching myself to swim. I had no swim lessons. Teaching myself to swim. I got so comfortable. I would stay there all day, all night, all summer. Friends would come over. If I was alone, I'd spend a lot of time in the water. So the water, kind of a healing essence for me. But anyway, I digressed. I ended up getting accepted. So junior high school, 7th and 8th grade, all of a sudden I said, well, I should probably get my elementary, like my education system, like my bearings together. So I found my bearings somehow. I said, well, I seem to get, if I get good grades, people seem to be happy. That was my simple equation. Get good grades, make people happy, do good for yourself, and then make it through. So from then on, I sort of became a straight A student, just like that. I honest to God, I don't know where it came from. I don't know if I just decided to pay attention, but I went to school, got honors because I wanted to, probably because I had a goal, right? I wanted to get into this high school. You had to have good grades. So there, you trigger a team guy, and that's how it goes. So I ended up doing that, got into BC High, got onto the hockey team, played competitive hockey for 4 years during the summertime. That took up all my time. As you can imagine, like probably nowhere near today, these kids with the clubs that they're in, the things that they're involved in. But that took up all my time. And during the summertime, I was playing with, ex-NHL guys in summer leagues, pro-am leagues, you name it, going about this thing. And then, lo and behold, graduation comes. And the irony of this whole story, this is a funny point. I actually was recruited by West Point.
My gosh.
Yeah. So West Point has them in the Air Force Academy. The only 2 academies that have Division I hockey teams. Yeah. So West Point sends me a letter. I go, this is great, because I wanted to get in the academy. I also applied to Navy Academy. Navy turned me down. Haha, who's laughing now? But I didn't get into Navy.
We're kind of particular who we let in there, man.
He's an honorary graduate.
I know. Yeah, you won that game,
sir.
You win.
Don't
call me sir. I work for a living.
Let's highlight honorary.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of that. That's an awesome.
Okay, for anybody else, they have to say that. Me being a first-class SEAL, getting that qual, big deal.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, you told me that last time.
I'm so proud of that, man. God,
that's fantastic.
Isn't that cool?
So did you go to West Point?
I did not go to West Point.
Okay.
So
did you go up there to see the place?
I never saw the place.
Oh, that's where you made the mistake.
Yep.
Because it's when you get behind those walls.
Oh, it's amazing. I've seen pictures of it. Yep.
There's a reason why they keep that thing protected.
Yeah, for sure.
That real estate up there, cool.
The Navy's nice too. I've been to the
it's gorgeous. So is Air Force.
A bunch of times. Yeah.
Colorado,
gorgeous,
dude.
Yeah, I mean, that's the place to go. It really is. If you get in there, you're lucky enough to get an education paid for by the government and then serve your country. It should be the standard. Don't get me started with that.
I can't believe that's not. I mean, every kid. I think that they should have the best football programs.
100%.
I think they're the one. The academy should be able to recruit from every freaking and just be like, hey, you come in. Matter of fact, if you play football for us and keep this up, then we can talk about how much time you put in. I think we should. It's a new time and place. I think we should reevaluate that.
Like a negotiation on service. You just play football.
That is service. You get your ass kicked, man. A lot of those kids won't play there because they got to do 4. But what if you were reserves?
Right.
And then that in itself is a recruiting. They just need, if you could just reconfigure that to our generation, because our guys would bite on that.
Yep.
They would. It's time for that.
I don't know why you wouldn't. Yeah, the education is superior. the discipline is worth
The service
a
as an
lifetime.
academy officer is just, I mean,
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
and it's not that long. People think 4 years, freaking long time, 6. I mean, it's not
No,
at all.
drop in the bucket. Are you kidding me? The last decade went by. I don't know what happened.
I have no idea where that went.
All I know is I lost my eyesight a little bit. Like I can't read anymore.
Yeah, something 14, 15 got weird, dude.
That's it.
Same thing happened to me.
Yeah.
And now here we are.
Yep.
Okay, so where'd you end up going?
So I lost my prep school spot to the academy. So you had to go to NAPS, right? A little prep school. And
Which is what? Talk about that.
so NAPS is where they send you for development, either, grade wise if they want you as an athlete, or, to enhance your collegiate career. So it's 2 years, it was roughly 2 years. The Navy Academy Prep School, NAPS, and the military has one too. I think they call it MAPS. And so that was the plan. I was going to go to NAPS, and I got a letter. This is past signing day, by the way. This is past, it's on the program at BC High for my graduation. You get JJ Parma, United States Naval Academy. I still have the program. And I ended up going there. And it was sort of, I guess, an administrator. I don't know the details of how it happened, but I lost my prep school spot to probably another athlete. And at the last minute, I was left holding the bag. The academy called out to Jerry Welsh, who was the coach at Ohio State University. And this is people going, how the hell did you end up at Ohio State? Anyway, called out there, said, hey, we got a kid, it's pretty good, probably walk on the program, send him out. So I did my first 2 years at Ohio State.
That's a great university.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
That's a wonderful university.
What a shock, though, for, my high school had 300 graduating kids, small. BC High was small, 1,200 total. Brockton High had 1,200 a class, right? So this is,
Oh my God.
That's pretty big.
Yeah, they were big. And so pumping out of there, I went to Ohio State, 60,000 undergrad at the time. It's more now. 60,000. I walked around the campus for a week, just looking around in the quad, all around, mesmerized by the size of the school. You had classes that were 330 people in a lecture halls up high.
Yeah.
Oh my
With
God.
a
Auditorium
TA,
kind of,
in the auditorium style. But it was great. I lived at Steve Hall, lived with all the athletes, baseball players, classmates of mine, Eddie George, Big Daddy Wilkinson, Jeff Cawthorn, Kirk Herbstreit was there at the time. And these were the heroes of the school, right?
Yeah.
The hockey team gets no love out there.
Yeah.
At least it didn't. So I had my opportunity to walk on.
Herbstreit's doing well.
Yeah, doing really well. A lot of those guys are.
College game day, man. That's like a religion down here.
Oh, my first game was unbelievable. They announced the college hockey recruits at the game in the horseshoe. I mean, I was frozen. Not that anybody was listening. I heard it. No, this is cool. We all sat together. Yeah, my first game and that I went to at Ohio State. You'll love this. They don't do this anymore. Michigan, Ohio State, the rivalry. If you're out there, that's it. There's a bunch of rivalries. This one is strong, right? It's legendary. Game goes on. Joey Galloway was playing for Ohio State. Herbstreit's the quarterback. It's 1992. Final score: 13-13.
My gosh.
Ended a tie. I honest to God, everybody left the stadium. I'm still sitting there. I go, no overtime? What? We're gonna end in a tie? The greatest battle in college football. My first game at Ohio State, and we're gonna end in a tie.
Wow, you'll remember that forever.
Tie. 13-13.
Yeah, don't do that anymore.
I couldn't believe it. I was so disappointed. Anyway, that was it for me for hockey because I showed up. I was one of 6 Americans on a team full of Canadians, and these kids were good. They were 23-year-old freshmen. I was 18. They would come down from Canada. My Canadian can tell you this. They came down from program. They had played junior hockey pros a couple years before this is how they recruit in these programs.
That's all they do in Kansas, play hockey. Man, they skate to school. They can skate in summertime. You know what I'm talking about? Like these kids, like they're born.
Yeah.
As soon as they get out, they're like, hey, throw those on your feet. You're going to need them around here.
They get a bottle, and then the next thing they do after they get bottle fed is tie their skates.
Yeah, skates.
Feed, tie your skates. Feed, tie your skates.
You're good. That's all you need.
These kids were good. The first hit that I took was from a kid named Craig Patterson. He ended up playing in the NHL, I believe. 6'3". He was Lindros size hockey player. 6'3", 280 pounds. I took a puck up the middle in training camp in August, looked away, big mistake, looked back for a second, and I just saw this wall.
There it goes.
Boom, I was laid out. And I go, that's That to me was an eye-opening experience because I said, this is another level altogether. Like, I missed something here. This is not, like, he laid me out and he just kind of chuckled. And
obviously there was a step that
that was it.
It's different when someone hits you on the ground moving with that kind of weight,
boy.
even on skates.
Yeah, and they don't hold back. Like there's no holds barred.
Mm.
So that was a defining moment. They wanted me to. I had enough talent to stay. They said, we want you to leave college. To them, sports is business out there. That's it. Sports drives that school, and so they wanted me to leave. Said, go down to Omaha, Nebraska, join a junior pro league, and come back. We'll come, And I decided I want education. So I ended up transferring out of there, stayed in college because I knew that my mom, I was going to be the first one with a bachelor's degree in the family.
Oh, how cool.
And I knew that was important,
Mm-hmm.
not just to me, but to her.
Our
And
parents made a big deal of that.
they did make it. It was a big deal.
That was on TV all the time, all the TV shows and movies.
Yep.
Everything we always heard was, you're going to be the first one to do this.
Yep.
I remember that growing up.
Yeah. And so I didn't want to let her down. And I wanted education. So I transferred to Sacred Heart University, Fairfield, Connecticut, played football and hockey. They had just started a brand new hockey team. It was Division III at the time, so now Division I. Small school outside of Fairfield in Bridgeport. Transferred there and ended up graduating on time 4 years later. And
Really?
then May of 96. Yep.
Good for you, man.
May of 96.
That's awesome.
Dean's listed, by the way. I kept my grades
Oh,
up.
nerd alert.
Nice.
Good Lord, man. Listen to this guy.
Mostly because I had to get the gift of gab, and I would
It helps.
woo my 100% it helps.
This is important
Just
information.
Be a nice person.
This
Just
is
be a
important
good
information
person.
for, like, if you don't have a dad growing up, this is an example of how you do this. All right.
Mhm.
There's a couple of things that you can put in your toolbox, and no matter what type of human being you walk into, if you use these, it works. And that's one of them. Most definitely. Just be kind. And if you could have the gift of gab with that, someone can't get mad at you when you're trying to just,
Impossible.
it's almost impossible, right?
Almost impossible.
For the human condition.
Yep.
I mean, they have to catch you in the worst moment of your life to be mean to somebody when they hit you like that.
That's right. That's right.
We don't ever talk about that.
Yep.
It's interesting because I'm being brought back to another podcast that we had, another team guy, Joey Hahn, and he grew up without a dad in the foster system. And like you, he, in junior high, I think he said, like, flipped a switch and was like, I am going to make good grades. It's the only thing I have control of. And like you just decided. It's not that kids can't do
Correct.
it. You just have to decide that you want to put in the effort to
That's
do
right.
it. And I think a lot of our kids do not like to do homework. I mean, do not like to do homework. But all they have to do is make that decision that that's what matters to them, and they'll start doing it.
That's right. Yeah, it's a choice.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's a choice.
Yeah.
Right? You have a choice to make. So I made that choice, graduated, and was able to maintain grades, which was, at the end of the day, looking back, who cares what your college? Like that's the other thing. I tell the kids all the time, tell my kids, look, nobody's going to care where you graduate. You just got to get through it, not through it. Just grind and grind and grind. Pay attention. It's a short period of time. Marcus said it's 4 years.
Yeah.
This message is sponsored by Greenlight. It's that time of year again, back to school. But this year, something was a little different. My little siblings were actually excited about back to school shopping because they got to use their very own Greenlight cards to pick out all the stuff that they really wanted. It was so cool. They were acting like adults, swiping their card. They were loving it. And it was also really cool to see them take charge and manage their own money. Greenlight isn't just a debit card. It's also a smart money app for families that helps kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely, all while giving their parents peace of mind. Whether they're budgeting their own allowance or they're treating themselves on vacation or at the gas station, Greenlight has been an absolute game changer for us. And with the Greenlight Infinity plan, we've even gotten extra peace of mind with features like family location sharing and SOS alerts. If you want to see your kids take charge of their finances while staying safe, go sign up for Greenlight today and get your first month for free at greenlight.com/TNQ. That's greenlight.com/TNQ.
right? And so, yeah, ended up doing it. It was great. Mother was super proud. But then came the turning point. What am I going to do now? What the hell do I do now? I had a couple job offers in New York City because I was so close proximity-wise with the school. Banking jobs, this, that, the other thing. For some reason, the idea of being in a suit it made me just awful inside. Like I had this guttural instinct that I'm not ready. Now, let's back up, way back. Fascination with the military. My father was a Vietnam vet. Okay. He did 2 tours, drafted against his will. One of those guys, right? Didn't want to talk about it. The more I asked, the less he wanted to talk about it. The more obsessed I became. So do that equation. That happens quite a bit, from what I understand. So I would ask him all the time. The more he didn't answer my questions, he lost his best friend in his arms. Helicopter crashed twice, had back problems. He was in 1st Air Cav. So
Is he still alive?
No, he died in 2021. Both my parents have since passed.
Oh, sure.
My mother in 2018. Yeah, so he died of a heart attack on a golf course, which was his thing. The more he didn't talk about it, the more books I bought. I had every book on the Vietnam War that you could possibly imagine. Fascinated. I was the kid who tied my friends to a tree at my retirement ceremony. I still have best friends. The 2 kids I grew up with in Brockton, Mass. came to my retirement at the Grinder at Bud's.
Very cool.
In 2017. It was awesome. And we still tell that story. It's like almost like a Bud story, like going through Hell Week or whatever. My friend's like, yeah, he tied me to a tree. And I did. I'll be the kid and leave him there. Oh, it's dinner time. I left my friend tied to a tree in Brockton, Massachusetts.
It happens up there. Part of it. Tough place to grow up, man.
So, yeah, this fascination with the military never really went away. It built and built. And every Halloween, guess what I was? Some kind of army guy with face paint, some commando running around. Not specifically honed in on SEALs or anything else, but I was obsessed with the Green Berets. I was obsessed with wearing a Green Beret.
Isn't that what Rambo was?
Rambo was a Green Beret.
Yeah.
Chuck Norris.
Yeah. Chuck Norris was the Delta Force guy.
Yeah. G.I. Joe.
I think Schwarzenegger might have been, Commando might have been an ex-Green Beret, right? They weren't ex-Navy SEALs.
He had Green Berets for breakfast, so he had to be in the unit.
He was super secret.
Yeah.
Super secret SMU.
I remember that. He said that.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I had all those books, but then when hockey took over my life, I kind of put that in the back burner, right? So, I always wanted to start from the very beginning, always self-service. And then that's when it hit, when I graduated college. Sitting there and I go, I'm going to join the Navy. And I think I had said that a year before I graduated. I told my mother, and she goes, as long as you get your degree, you can do whatever the hell you want. So she said to me, I was so close. I said, yeah, of course. So I finished it, and sure as the wind blows, walked into a recruiter's office with my college degree in hand, practically in hand in Connecticut. Walked into a recruiter's office, 2 guys sitting there, one black guy, one white guy. They were great. I walked in the recruiter's office. There was a Navy SEAL poster on the wall. Now, remember, we had no internet in 1996.
Yeah.
There was Netscape barely loaded on a webpage. Netscape. I was typing on a computer like this. Mm-hmm. And the stories, oh my God. Back then, you were right around that time.
Well,
2000,
right after
right? 2000?
99.
Do you remember the story? Did you have somebody that knew? It's always somebody that knows. I know a guy who knows a SEAL, whose cousin was a SEAL, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like 5 layers buried. Then you get the stories come. The stories I had before I walked in the recruiter's office about the teams in general were just, so I'll share one with you that you may or may not have heard on this show. There was a guy who told me, he was one of those kids. Oh, I had a friend of a friend had a cousin who was a Navy SEAL, told me about buds. I said, well, tell me about buds. And you're like this. Okay, somebody's got some knowledge, right? You got a rock of knowledge. Anything back then. And so he said to me, he goes, I heard on day 1, they give you a puppy. I said, puppy?
I heard. Absolutely.
You heard the story?
Absolutely know the story.
He's told me this story.
Oh, you've heard it.
Yeah.
So this is the legend. This is the lore.
Yeah.
I said, they give you a puppy. What do they do? What do you do with the puppy? Well, you have to raise it. 6 months. You got to raise this puppy, care, feed. I go, wow. Not thinking of, at that age, of the logistics and actual animal cruelty and all that. And I said, okay, then what? He goes, well, to graduate, you got to shoot the puppy. You got to kill it. I just was looking at him. I go, huh, you kill a puppy, huh? Well, I don't know if I could do that. Maybe I could do that. I don't know. I kind of like dogs. I wasn't a dog guy growing up. Anyway, that's the type of the story. Of course, we know that not to be true. All your listeners out there, it never happened. There's no puppy mill there.
Yeah, I absolutely heard that one.
Yeah.
I was blown away.
The truth to that story is when the team guys get out, I got a service dog, and I had to live with him. It was the best friendship. I mean, that sucker taught me more about myself, and I had to put him down when he got too old, which is the same thing.
Worst case scenario.
So it actually does happen to us, but it's at the end, and we don't have to kill him. We got to live with him, love him, and then have to put him down.
The irony, right?
Humanely.
The irony. Yeah.
Yeah,
Humanely,
that's what you do with an animal.
Right.
Put it down humanely.
Yes.
The hardest thing I ever had to do.
Yeah, I've been there. I had a
Marcus had to do it on the anniversary.
On the
of Red Wing.
anniversary of Red Wing.
That's brutal.
And guess the doc who walked in to get me, his name was Michael. He's like, I got him. That's what he said to me. And I was sitting there. Dude, this is a rabbit hole. But I mean, you know what I'm talking about? That was the thing. Those animals, you can get close with them.
There's a bond that's built that's unbreakable.
Sure.
Unbreakable between them.
But to go back to the Bud stories, when we were going through, because no internet, no nothing. And if you even heard, it's like, oh, that's terrifying. I'll just get to the moment, and then we'll see what will happen.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I don't know what.
Maybe I won't graduate.
Yeah, I guess
I don't know. Yeah,
let's just give it a try.
Did you ask the recruiter?
No,
about the puppy story?
I had dismissed that story by the time, but I think the month before, talking to enough people, I was actually connected to.
See, you were educated though.
Well, yeah, I guess you could say that.
Well, that's what separates us.
Overeducated. Yeah. Anyway, another story. One of the other stories I heard was they take, during Buds. This was a Buds. During Buds, probably the same guy. During Buds, they put you in a helicopter, and they take you out over the Atlantic Ocean, like deep. And they drop you in, and you got to find your way back. Now think about that. The Atlantic Ocean, any point in the Atlantic Ocean, outside international waters.
Where you can't see the land.
Can't see the land.
Yeah.
Drop you out, you got to make your way back. And you get all these fake passports, and you're just like, the stories we heard were crazy. But I walked in that recruiter's office, and there's that poster on the wall, and I'd been working out. I knew about the SEAL program before I went in there, but that's it. Just stories,
How'd you hear about it?
Myths, legends.
TV, movie, anything?
Yeah, just I knew that I wanted to do, if it wasn't going to be Green Berets, I wanted to check this out. Because somewhere along the line, I'd found out about SEALs, and I became fascinated. This was later. This was as I was prepping my mind to actually go to a recruiter's office and actually enlist.
Yeah.
And so I knew that they're like Green Berets, but the water. It was the water piece that I said, oh, yeah, nobody does that. That's what I want. Maritime, right? So love the water. I said, that's an extra capability. I want the extra capability. Don't ask me why, but I wanted the extra capability. And so, yeah, I walked in there, and there's the poster on the wall. And I looked up on it, and I walked in. I said, I want to be one of those guys. And they laughed. They kind of chuckled. Like, yeah.
They always do.
You want to do that. But these guys were good. Because I'll tell you.
Bless you.
Thank you.
They said, you qualify. You just graduated college with a bachelor's degree. Your ASVAB score, you could be a nuke, fly planes. They literally tried to talk me out of it. And I said, I just wasn't listening. Wasn't listening at all. And I said, yeah, okay, good. Yep, that sounds good. Yeah, no, nukes doesn't interest me. I want to be that guy. Like, all right, it's a backup. So in 1996, it was a 3-year backup to be an officer in teams. You had to get yourself in that pipeline. Yep, they were only taking so many. The academy had so many billets. OCS only had so many billets. Seaman Admiral had so many billets. ROTC had so many billets. So they were all backed up for years. Only 4 or 5 officers in class, doing the math. I go, well, what's the quickest way I can get there? Enlist. You have to enlist. You don't want to do that. I said, why not? Well, it's not a guarantee that you'll make it. And they were trying to be honest with me. They were trying to give me the honest shuffle. And I said, well, I'll do that. I mean, when a mind's made up,
Yep.
Right? It's like the kid that wants a fancy toy. He's like, we're not going to change his mind until you get it. And so there I was signing that day on the thing for DEP, the delayed entry program. August 1st is your date. You're all set to go. But back then, we had no SEAL contract. There was no guarantee. The only guarantee that I got was you get to take a screen test, the SEAL screening test, twice in boot camp, 2 or 3 times, whatever it was. So I failed the first one. So I went to boot camp August 1st, and I remember I had a great drill instructor. I mean, people talk about Navy boot camp, Joe. We had a crusty old chief that was the command, I forget what they called him, command regiment leader or whatever it was, and he was fantastic.
I had great RDCs too.
Yeah, RDC.
Yeah. I remember their names.
Oh boy,
Chief Aaron, Dobbs, Davis. I remember all of them. Man.
This guy was phenomenal. He was every bit of what you want the Navy to be. The uniform piece, the way he spoke, mustache, cup of coffee, thin, always tight. Like I love that. Like that, I became.
It is good, right?
Super attracted.
Yeah, when you see him real squared away like that,
squared away.
Marcus loves that.
I freaking dig that.
He was what you.
You can be a little bit of a freaking sideburn guy and let something square off if you're that squared away.
Yep, he was what you want the entire Navy to be. I go, this is great. Anyway, he would motivate me off to the side. There wasn't a lot of kids taking that test, at least from my group, my division. And so I took the test, did well on everything except the boots and pants inside a gym. The jeans and the pants, they were, what are the dungarees?
The bell bottoms.
The dungarees with the boots, with the Bates boots.
Yeah.
So I missed the run by a minute, maybe a minute and a half. I was devastated. Absolutely devastated.
It's crushing.
It was crushing. But I go, okay, I had one more chance. And he gave me, I went back to that, and that RDC sat me down. He goes, if you want it bad enough, you'll make it. Almost like a team guy. This guy was almost like one of my SEAL mentors later on in life. He said, you want it bad enough, you'll make it. You'll pass that run. So I blew the screen test out of the water next time.
That's good.
And
shout out to mine. It was Lions and Dobbs and Aaron.
How do you remember that?
Thank you.
You're good with names.
Thank you so much for being the best RDCs. I actually got, because I was the RPOC. I had a lot of authority back then. What's up? Yeah. Huh? And I got him in trouble one time. And I apologize for that too. But they were great. They let me go do the PT and PT in the when everyone was set to be in the racks. Man, he was like, "Hey, I failed the first one too."
Yep.
And I didn't know what I was going to do. It was almost like a panic mode that came over me.
You also brought a friend with you that was quitting.
He had an injury. He didn't quit. And I went in on the buddy program. Had the guy with me that I was in college with and everything like that. And we're like, we're just going to do this. And he got injured. He had a debilitating injury. And when he left, I was like, dude, I'm all alone in this freaking place, man. And being alone, I just turned all of myself into the Navy. Like, it's all I thought about.
Same.
It happens when you're alone.
Same.
And if the United States is giving you an opportunity and a program to where you can, because there are guys like us in the program that are the program, like that SEAL Kool-Aid I told you about. Like I was that guy too. Yeah.
So same here. I was all in.
So you went in enlisted?
I went enlisted.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
That's good stuff, man.
Yep. I went enlisted with no plan. By the way, I didn't map out anything. The way I was. Some kids do that. They're really good at that.
Yep.
They map out everything. I didn't map out it. I would take goal by goal.
Yeah, build a map.
I got to do this because remember back then the fear, if you didn't pass, and no disrespect to the Navy because I love our Navy, you were going to the fleet. Like you were fleet bound if you didn't pass and you owed time. Which at some point I came to terms like, okay, so I'm here. I want to serve.
Yeah, but that was scary. I remember that, man, dude. That was scary as hell to think that.
I'm not gonna lie. In the back of your mind, you want to make this program. So ended up crushing that, and then I wouldn't say crushed it. I passed the screen test. I crushed it.
I crushed it. Hey, me too, bro.
By the way,
I never failed anything.
best scores ever on a
I think I set the record, as a matter of fact.
I think that office burned down.
Yeah, anyway. There's no proof of it, but I definitely did it.
I passed the test and became the scruffy. Remember the scruffs?
Of course.
So I worked my way up to lead scruffy. For those, for your listeners, the scruffs was a little program they had while you were waiting for buds. Like you would go to buds or you would go to boot camp. There was no prep school out there. That was it. You were going from that screen test straight to Coronado. And so I became scruff, and I don't know what happened. I was supposed to go class 213. All right, buds class 213, had orders. Ended up not going for whatever administrative reason. So I stayed extra couple months. I went to Radio Manet school.
Okay.
Because that was the other thing. You knew back then in the teams, you had those certain ranks. You had to be a hull technician, medic. Corpsman was one of them, and then IT, radio man, which is now IT. So I go, well, what's the most important job in a SEAL platoon? That's when you started doing the research, talking to actual SEALs or guys that, the dive motivators that were there, that were SEALs, and like, yeah, radio man. So I had a college degree. I figured I had to give back some way, but I was into the technical stuff back then, and I said, I want to be a radarman. That's it. I'll go to radarman A school. While I was in A school, did the workouts with the team guys, did all the thing, and that's, again, perspective, looking back, that's when I started kind of attaching myself to SEALs that were senior to us and using them. Not only were they some of the best mentors I ever had, but I started using them as a pseudo father figure. And I didn't realize that this is recent, like epiphany that I've had. They had become, every team guy that had an effect on me became almost like a father figure. And I can name them, like I can rip those names off. Father Frank at SEAL Team 8, Frank Mulcahy. I don't know if you know him.
Oh, no.
The very first one I had was Rick Kyser. So Rick Kyser had come out of Somalia, Silver Star from Somalia, Black Hawk down.
Yeah.
Runs the SEAL Museum. I think he's still in charge of it out there. But Rick was phenomenal. He was, as a non-SEAL, just fresh out of boot camp, scruff, the mentorship that I got from Great Lakes through the rest of the year, he was phenomenal. If you've ever seen him speak, the way he speaks is the way he actually led. It's not one of the guy in your face when you get the buds, drop on down. Those guys were out at Bud.
We got them. We have those.
We got those. And they served their point.
Yeah, we got them.
He would come into the room and go, your uniform's all messed up. Just drop down. And as you were doing the push-ups, he would be giving you some
worst when they're calm. When they're calm, dude, and they just sit there beating your ass.
This guy has no. I'm convinced he has no temper. I think when he gets mad, he just elevates just a little bit. That's it. He has no temper, and he's just mild-mannered, but he will pontificate as you're pumping them out. Push-up after push-up, and you get lessons in life. And then he told us, we went out one night when I was really senior, getting ready to go to Bud's, class 214. He told us a story of Black Hawk Down from his version. And if I could open my eyes any wider, we went to a bowling alley and I had to drive. The Scruffy had to drive the instructors. Oh God, there was a bunch of them in the car, but he was telling the story while we were driving the bowling alley and bits and pieces of it. That was it. That was it for me. Hook, line, and sinker. This is an awesome job. Even
me, as no one, I did not grow up with any immediate family in the military, and I read Black Hawk Down right when the book came out, and it hooked me. I mean, that is one of the most incredible stories.
Terrible situation, but a great story.
Situation, just unbelievable. You can feel the fear
those guys
that they experience. Crazy story.
That wild times that people don't really, everybody forgets. Those
great movie, great book,
great movie, great book. But the stories, the stories that get lost.
Yeah, how about that?
Similar to your story, similar to every mission I've been on. The bits and pieces that really matter, right? That are in there that they didn't talk about.
Yeah.
They didn't talk about the JSOC portion of that. You had the Delta guys running around. The only difference in the Black Hawk Down, they had the Protex on. The other guys had the shells on, right? So you could see them running around. But the actual intent, like Wasden was in there, Rick Kyser was in it. The actual things that those guys did, unsung heroes, like truly phenomenal. The missions that they actually had to execute. To hear it from that side is a different story.
The greatest military operations and stories that we have will never be told. They're lost. Most
of
them are lost.
I thought about that last night, actually.
Never hear about them. They'll never be brought up. The best ones.
Yep.
The absolute stories that you want to hear about, y'all will never hear about them.
Nope. You won't hear about them unless you're
they'll die. They'll die on the vine.
Right. Every team guy has a story to tell. Every one of them has a great story, especially over the last 2 decades.
That's why I work real hard on getting past their armor. I'm like, bro, especially now. We're older. I'm like, I know you got a good one.
Yeah.
I freaking know it.
Yeah. This last generation of team guys is broken up into the Vietnam generation. Then there was
the Storms and the Shields.
There was a pause reset, and then we got a whole nother generation, different breed, advanced. Vietnam guys that faded out and faded in. So important to have that turnover, right? Anyway, so went to Bud's class 214 in spring of '97. after graduating boot camp and Rating A school, and
214?
214, 214.
Dude, what was that like?
Which happens to be the area code, I guess, in Texas, in Dallas.
Yeah.
214.
It is.
Yeah. Don't ask me why I know that.
How many guys y'all start with?
All right. So we started with about 140 dudes, which was
That's
a
that's
big
pretty-
class
pretty
for the
big.
time,
For that
from what I
time, right,
understand. You know, they try to stuff the class. So, yeah, we ended up with 16 original graduates from that class that stuck with it. 35 graduated. 35 or 36. 6 of them were Singaporean.
16 originals?
16 original guys.
Are you an original?
I am.
Congratulations,
Did you
man.
say
Yeah, yeah.
Singaporean?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
had 6 Singaporeans in our class.
Wow.
In fact, we may be, to this day, still the only Buds class who had a foreign national get honor man.
Oh my gosh.
And it was kind of a
Do you remember his name? I didn't mean to put you on the spot like
Chief
that.
Eng.
Some of those dudes are so freaking hardcore.
He was hard.
Wait, why? I've never heard this. Why are
I
there?
would keep it a secret.
Yeah, no, it's not top secret. So
Okay.
So we've had in Buds typically definitely during my time going through, they would always have a contingent of a couple foreign nationals that would come over. We had Kuwaitis in it. There was
Egyptians,
But they're-
Thai,
They're
Singapore.
going to serve their own army, or
They go
they're
back.
going to
they go back.
or military.
They
whatever?
only go through the Buds portion. I think. They go through the whole 3 phases.
Just like for a qual.
Right.
Wow.
Right. They send them to test them to
That's
be
so cool.
their best guys.
Hey,
And,
let me tell you something. They show up sometimes. They all stick together.
always.
They got one car. And they always ride it. They get so cold going through training, they'll sleep in their wetsuits because their body's not really conditioned. These suckers are hard, man.
Yeah.
They're hard. They're a lot of fun to have in the class. I didn't have as a winter class. We didn't have them. They come in the spring.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah, we got them for sure. That's why
Yeah.
we can interop. Like when you talk about Singapore, if we were to get dropped in there, I was like, find me the SEALs.
Yeah, there's a higher strategic purpose to the whole thing, which
Yeah.
I think is brilliant in a way.
Yeah.
He's right. You go reconnect. You reconnect with some of those guys. It happened to me at Harvard, not with one of the graduates that went through, but just people I'd been overseas with.
Mm-hmm.
Like in Bahrain, a Bahraini prince recognized me, and he goes, yo, special boats. I remember you guys there. They
Oh my
hit the
gosh.
curb. I'm like, not my fault. Not my fault, bud.
It was like seeing a long lost brother.
Yeah.
Because when you
Yeah.
go through that together, and then
Yeah.
they don't ever get to see us.
I imagine that's crazy.
Well, you know those foreign countries, especially the Middle Eastern ones, in relationships,
Yeah.
they run. You know better than anybody on this planet.
So do they have to have what are they? What rank are they to be able to come over here and do that?
All ranks. The
all
guy,
across the board.
the one guy was the equivalent of a Navy chief. They've had officers come in from different countries. They go all the
With
way down
combat.
to E3s.
With
Yeah,
combat
yeah.
experience.
Some of them have a lot of.
I remember Mr.
combat experience.
Benchmark. He was a badass dude. A lot of and they'd have to go back through that training. You could see his face. He's like, I'm a combat veteran. He's like, what am I doing getting my ass kicked, getting this freaking
Do
ball,
they get a
dude?
trident, or are they just
Oh,
going through
absolutely.
first phase,
Yeah,
or
they
what?
gave him a trident.
They gave him a trident.
Customary. You know, we didn't get a trident. I didn't get a trident.
No, not us. We used to have a lot of
Right,
training to
right,
do. They
right.
go through buds.
No, I know that, but they're going through all 3 phases.
Yep.
Mhm.
Wow, that is so cool.
Yeah, we didn't have SQT back then,
Mm-mm.
so we
It
had
was
STT,
STT. Yeah.
right on
STT.
each coast.
Mm-hmm.
So we would go, and so they would get a trident. You're like,
Remember
"The
that?
hell?"
Remember seeing them like, what the hell are you doing wearing that, dude?
Sand on your face, blood coming out. You're like, where's my trident?
I'll never forget that when he came. One of ours, they came walking up, had that sucker shining. And I was like, dang, because you don't even touch those.
Do
You
they
didn't-
have to get the blood wings too, or do they?
I don't recall
know
them
if
ever
they do
getting.
that.
I don't think they do. I
when they
think
get
there's some
back.
protocol there that, I don't recall that at all. They may do it themselves. Who knows?
Can't talk to
But
that.
they did. They gave him honor man for the class. I think our
Wow.
proctor was trying to make a point at the time. Now, look, the kid that got it, he was an older guy,
dude, yeah.
chief in the Singaporean Navy special forces they have, and
That's cool.
yeah, he was hard, and
That's
he
cool.
passed every evolution. And this kid, he was not a turd.
Did y'all get along with them?
Yeah, we did. We did.
Okay.
Now, going back 21 years later, I retired as the operations officer at Buds. I ran the command, and so there were Singaporeans in the class, and I would run a Hell Week shift. And not the same caliber. Let's just say not the same caliber. So you get all kinds, right?
Yeah.
And Buds will break them. Buds will break them. Even the
Are
best
you
of them.
allowed to fail them, or are they here
Nope.
on like a
No,
diplomatic?
they'll get them through.
And
Yeah.
If
They'll
they
get them through.
quit,
They'll roll them to
it's
make a
because
point.
if they
They've rolled
quit and
some.
go back, it's a big
Yeah,
deal.
it's a
They're not-
mark of shame.
If you quit and go back for them, it's a big deal.
And their people tell them, hey,
don't come
quit
over
Buds,
here.
don't come back.
Don't come back.
Oh
Yeah, we've
my
heard stories like
God.
that.
I've heard
That's
some
true.
stories, man.
That's a good point.
Are some of them shitbags?
Yeah, we've gotten all kinds. Right?
Yeah.
You get all kinds.
Oh my gosh.
And they said some of them just to straighten their asses up, dude. Because when they get over here with us, it's different altogether.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they were
Okay,
fun
so
ones.
after you got through buds, where were you assigned?
So Buds, Fort Benning. I'm all Army trained, by the way. None of this new pipeline stuff that they're going through today. Went to Fort Benning. Got my jump wings the hard way, and I went to SEAL Team 8.
It's not Benny anymore.
Yeah, I know they changed
the names of all the
name
armies.
of it.
How
Can
the
you
hell are we going to
believe
find
this
it?
name
How are we going to
change
find
thing?
this place? I don't even
don't
know.
I don't know.
Why
Well,
they do stuff like that.
You are going down a rabbit hole. You get me all fired up.
Dude.
Yeah.
Trying to be calm.
You were at Benning for
I was
18
and
Delta.
brag. I did the whole army setup. I'm a bastard too.
Because he did 18 Delta.
Right there, bro.
Yep.
Straight up bastard.
Yep.
Okay, so SEAL Team 8, what was that like? Let's get into that.
Glorious again.
Do you want to go over to the East Coast?
I did
On your dream sheet?
I did.
That's
Yeah, I was an East Coast guy. Figured out, Boston's close. SEAL Team 8 was what I picked. SEAL Team 8 is what I got.
Really?
I think it went 8-2-4 or 8-4-2. Yeah.
Good for you, man.
Yeah. It was, needs of the Navy, but it was an opening and got in. And so, yes, drove up to SEAL Team 8 from Georgia. And then, did 5 platoons. So,
Wow.
so here you go. So this is the interesting part. 21 years in the Navy, got to SEAL Team 8 in 1998. Everybody forgets about a little conflict called in Bosnia Herzegovina, the Kosovo War. That was my first.
Only a handful of our guys went out there.
That was my first deployment.
Wow.
99. Brand new guy. Laser designating targets, from Tuzla into Bosnia, waiting out in the Adriatic Sea. Right from the beginning. Like I knew nothing else but these conflicts. JSETs, I did a UCOM. Remember the UCOM?
Mm-hmm.
So the UCOM was a big deal. You go to Europe, you deploy in Europe. And back then it was SEAL Team 2 deploys to Europe. They owned it. They owned the winter warfare.
Yeah.
And what they meant by that was they got to hang out with the Jaegers out in Norway. They got to go to Sweden. Good, hang out in Germany.
Dude, they held on to that
The
so
story,
long.
God.
Freaking, are you kidding me?
Dude,
No one knows about that till you get in there, man.
We could talk about the
dude.
cultures. I can honestly say I'm one of those guys that have been world toured, right? So I've done both coasts, which I think at the end of the day was the best thing I ever did. A lot of those guys homesteaded, stayed on the East Coast.
I did that.
Yeah. They knew the stories, right? So they knew where to go. They knew all the lines. And yeah, so we weren't regional so much as we were places. Like we deploy here and Team 2 takes this. And then the summer UCOM, Team 8 was actually developed for the strike to go on to the carriers. SEAL Team 8's original mission was a strike platoon assigned to an admiral, comm car grew, whoever was in charge of that fleet. And that admiral would own you. There was no
On a boat.
Right.
You're out there on a boat.
You had to go on a boat?
Oh, yeah.
That's what that is.
But
Gosh.
not my first deployment. We ended up getting a UCOM, and we ended up going in and doing some stuff in Bosnia. So that was great.
We don't ever talk about that.
No.
Teams you never hear about. I know a couple guys are out there with you, man. They don't ever.
Can you talk about it?
Yeah, I
don't know why we don't.
we had our sister platoon, so we both deployed there, and we would flip flop between the Adriatic missions and stuff. We had our sister platoon did became the famous op at the time in teams was the railroad op. Right, this was Christian Dunbar.
Christian Dunbar, absolutely.
So he
know
took
him
some
well.
guys over there, and they actually went in and blew up a railroad track. That was supplying.
Trestle, that's right.
Yep, supplying the Serbs.
You ever wake up and realize that your energy just isn't what it used to be? I've definitely been there, and it's frustrating. That's when I decided I had to try something new. And I found Qualia Senolytic, and it's made a world of a difference. After starting Qualia Senolytic, I noticed a huge shift. This supplement targets what they call zombie cells. It's the same ones that slow you down as you age. And in just a few months, my energy levels shot through the roof. The little creaks on my back I've been dealing with started to fade, and I'm feeling like 100% again. If you're ready to feel revitalized and take control of how you age, Qualia Senolytic might just be what you're looking for. Resist aging at the cellular level. Try Qualia Senolytic. Go to qualialife.com/TNQ for up to 50% off and use code TNQ at checkout for an additional 15% off. For your convenience, Qualia Senolytic is also available at select GNC stores near you. That's QUALIA life.com/TNQ with code TNQ for an extra 15% off your purchase. Thank you, Qualia Senolytic, for sponsoring today's episode.
So blew that up, and that was a big deal. That was a big deal.
It's a great story, man. Who doesn't blow up train tracks anymore?
I know.
Paint the picture for people like me that do not know about this conflict. Who's the bad guy?
So you had Slobodan Milosevic, right, president of Serbia, and the funny part of this whole conflict, I'm glad you asked that question, was the Muslims were being eradicated by the Serbs. This was genocide on level 1. And we ended up going in defending the Muslim population, right?
In Serbia.
That's basically basically in the old Yugoslavia and in Kosovo. So that basically the peacekeeping mission for the United Nations, KFOR, those guys we were protecting the genocide from going on, and there were a lot. So out of that entire, this plays actually a good role because I ended up going back to Bosnia, into old Sarajevo, and living there as a team guy. Out of that Milosevic's little army, he had a bunch of henchmen. And those henchmen were committing atrocities that were, and this is where I look inside, and people from the outside, general population, when it gets political, people want to harp in and hone in on the politics of the whole thing, right? It always happens, never fails. They don't know the stories on the ground. The stories on the ground never really get told. And the turnover that we were getting when we ripped in was, target list of a mile long. Radovan Kardic was the number one, butcher of Bosnia, and so he had a bunch of henchmen, and they were. I mean, I could tell a story. It's a little too gruesome. They were lining up wives, children, men in caves, taking crowbars and just committing atrocities to these people, leaving them to die, often, killing them upon the hundreds. In the stories, you want to talk about rage, you get team guys get in there and get rage, just like 9/11, you start getting fired up.
And this is in like 98,
99, 2000.
Okay.
Yep. And so, from that became a very, very heavy target list, targeted for capture kill stuff in Hague, transfer onto the Hague prison. But yeah, that's what was going on in that war, and that's why I think special operations got. I mean, there was such heinous human crimes happening over there. So we got involved in that, and so that was my first deployment. And then I ended up doing 5 deployments at SEAL Team 8 in a span.
Enlisted?
Yeah, as enlisted.
You never went to OCS?
I did go to OCS.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
I mean, that's
a Mustanged after 5.
Yeah.
I showed up.
How did you?
I showed up at OCS.
Oh, I bet.
I can show. I sent some pictures to Hunter. I mean, you want to talk about Marines? Yeah. Marine drill instructors honing in and then not knowing what to do when somebody shows up with Bronze Star, and like you're like, what do we do? Anyway, yeah.
Hey, little hats off to you went to OCS?
Yep. 2004.
So when my brother went through, he had Gunny Jones. Still buddies with him. Say freaking bet the Marines over there that train SEALs and all those guys to be naval officers squared away.
Again, that is another example of like pure discipline and professionalism.
That's what you want them to look like. When those suckers walk in the door, the way they act, dude,
chiseled, the hat,
like the uniform's a part of them. It's not a separate kind of.
It's one. They're one with the. I almost don't know what they look like. When I saw one out of uniform, I go, no, no, you don't belong.
What the hell happened to you?
Guns N' Roses.
Yeah,
high top sneakers. What are you doing?
God, I'm weirded out, dude.
You're not a real person.
You're not real. Get back in there.
Don't ever take it off.
They could be Hasbro dolls. I mean, literally,
my gosh.
they're cut from a different mold. Professional all the way.
It's got to be a great job. Some of the stuff when you're on the outside looking at them, training them guys, and what they come up with, the wit, right? Just the overall. And like I said, if they get sent to them, like those Marines, they're freaking Marines.
Marine first.
And they don't ever go away.
Yep.
You tell by the minute they open their mouth that "hurrah" comes out. This every word they say.
They're still today the most professional branch we've got.
100%. Absolutely.
Marine Corps, salute out to you.
Don't ever change. Don't let anything seep in there and ruin that for
us.
us.
Once a Marine, always a Marine. Those guys are still running. They're 80, 90 years old, still running. I have neighbors that are Marines. It's awesome.
Oh, my favorite stories about Marines. There's a bunch of them. But I was on a plane with 2 colonels, 101 and 103, or 99 and 103. Had straight khakis on. Could shave with the damn crease in those pants. He was so squared away. And I mean, his brass on his collar was shining. I couldn't stop looking at his, in it. I mean, you know where that belly and crotch, there's no differential in that whole thing. It's like one line, that gig line straight down. It's impressive to hold the gig.
The gig.
The friggin' gig, man. When that sucker walks in, you're like, dude.
Oh my gosh.
That's a real thing with Marines.
Okay. So where were you for 9/11?
Yeah, everybody knows exactly where they were in 9/11. So I was at Fort A.P. Hill in a kill house, literally in a kill house. We were doing live fire rounds with Chance Hughes and company from those are the assault trainers out there. Great bunch of guys. Yeah, we were in a middle. So that was SEAL Team 8 golf platoon I was in. We were out there we were probably, I don't know, maybe 70% through our workup, 100%. You know, you do a 120-day workup. Yeah, we were a little early. Hadn't even done diving yet. So we were out there getting after it, and we had a new guy in the van. Went out for some water. It was a hot day too. Went out to the van, turned the news on for whatever reason. They took over all the channels anyway. Maybe it was a music channel, but turned it up. And the funny story about that was the instructors came back out, and we were huddled up, drinking water, sweating our asses off. And he comes out and he goes, all right, next scenario. We're going back in the house. Here's the scenario. Bin Laden just crashed I can't make this up. Bin Laden crashed 2 planes into the World Trade Center. We're going to go after him. We caught him in this house. That's the scenario. Not knowing at all what was going on. Now, the new guy was in there, and he came out, didn't really say anything to anybody. After the first plane hit, we went in, did a whole nother run, came back out, literally came out to ThreatCon Delta on base, which means they're shutting down the bases. It's one of the ThreatCons where they shut down the base, can't come on or off. And we came out of the house. He goes, no, that actually happened just now. Like 2 planes. The Bin Laden thing kind of got taken out. Why he got that, it's kind of weird. But that happened. They shut down. They were going to shut down the base. You got 15 minutes, pack bags, get out. And SEAL Team 8 wanted us back. Get back to base. This is one of those things, recall. Went back to base. So we drove 3 hours, whatever it was, back from Fort A.P. Hill up to back to the quarterdeck. They were standing outside waiting.
Listening to the radio the whole time.
Yep, listening to the radio the whole time.
Gosh.
Yep. Yeah, it was a long drive. And I got back to the command, and I was deployed, boots on the ground, late October 2001.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
There's a lizard on the wall.
Yep.
Dude, you were right in there afterwards.
Yeah, we were right in there. So SEAL Team 8 and SEAL Team 3.
3. Okay, that was you two. Yeah, that's right.
So we went right to Masera.
What rank are you by now? Did you go to chief? And
Nope. Made it to first class, and then
that's cool.
I don't even know if I was in first class when that went down. I think I was.
That's a perfect place to be.
No, I wasn't. I was probably an E5.
That's even a better place to be.
Yep.
The Mafia.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yep.
How long was the first pump?
Short. So
in Afghanistan,
3 months over there.
That's right.
So we did 3 months. Then we ended up leaving, ripping out to go spend 3 months on a ship chasing Bin Laden's family. Apparently, we had a couple missions. We did the El Obeid, famous mission. Apparently, there was a shipping container ship that was out, in the Northern Arabian Sea. Had Bin Laden's one of his sons on there, related to the Bin Laden family, transporting arms. Right after 9/11, so we were out. I mean, I've never seen movement so fast. It was so good. This is good in a team guy way, a logistic way. I've always seemed to be at the beginning of these conflicts. And you know what happens at the beginning of conflicts? The purse opens up. Briefcases come out. Money flows. You want something, you get it.
It's freaking best.
Best ever.
Golden cruise box.
Did y'all find him?
No. You know what we found? 55 containers of rice.
Are you serious?
Spent 24 hours on this ship.
Isn't that in the movie Navy SEALs? When they take that container ship down looking for a bad guy and they bust in, it's just rice flows out of it? I don't know why that just popped into my head, rabbit hole. But
that's a good memory from that movie. I love that movie.
You don't remember that when he's like shot that dude in the head? He's like, never talk about mom.
Now you're gonna make me rewatch. Now I'm gonna rewatch tonight.
Okay, I have a confession.
Changed my life.
Never seen that movie.
Oh yeah, it's worth
Well,
it's worth the watch.
Right? Yeah, of course.
Just to check that.
Well, now you'll completely get it. And the best part is, after I became a team guy and I rewatched it, then you hear the little slight nuances and verbiage tactics that we use. Like there's a scene in there when Charlie and the Chief are doing something, they blow those rockets and they didn't go high order, and he goes, case of beer. As he's running out of the door. I never caught that. That movie's full of them.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get back on topic. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah. So you have the rice incident.
Yeah, we had the rice incident. But back up. I mean, so 2001 is probably the first time where I think in the teams, well, obviously in the teams, that where I felt like my life was going to end, right? So I'll tell a good team guy story now. We went into Masira, Oman, where the task force was, Task Force Dagger, and then we became part of Task Force K-Bar, that whole 9 yards, right? And so we went to Masira, and the energy that was happening with JSOC there running the show, I think it was General Brown at the time.
Mm-hmm. Doug?
Yeah.
How about that dude?
Yeah. Hardcore.
Great guy.
There was shit going on. Like you land there as a team guy coming out of, now remember, pre 9/11 team guys, different breed.
Mm-hmm.
Post 9/11, totally, to be right there at the changing point of an entire generation was, looking back at that, it's like amazing. And so when we went in there, the energy was unbelievable. This is the time, by the way, no IEDs. There's none of that stuff, right? There's no roadside bombs. It wasn't even a concept yet. We were cutting. We were in Masira, Oman, cutting the top with a chainsaw, like cutting the top of the Humvee off so that we could be light and mobile, because we spent every night out in that desert.
Shift the chairs from leaning forward to leaning to the outside of the door with those rail systems. Yep. No doors, no roof, no armor.
We did SAS style backpacks over.
How about that over the side there?
Yeah, on the side.
God, that was the West.
We looked like the Rat Patrol. That's literally from World War II. We looked like Rat Patrol going out there. To think about these things and how we ended up with 400,000 pound Humvees going in up armored. So yeah, we were cutting stuff off. We got our Humvees prepared, and that whole mission was out of this world. So
where were you exactly?
We were in Masira. So we all deployed. The forward staging base was Masira, Oman. This is online. You can look this up. It's all Google.
Okay.
Yeah, Masira, Oman. I ended up working under and for General Mattis.
Oh wow.
James Mattis. Right. This is great.
Cool.
So he was in charge of CTF 50, I believe it was. Responsible. He was going to be the first conventional boots on the ground. Now, JSOC was already doing their thing, right? Going after Mullah Omar. They had target. Delta had targets. 6 had targets, and they were going in. Some of it was psychological. I don't remember if the parachute ops they were doing. Tim Boykert blew his knee out. We went to see him in the hospital in Masira. He'd just come out and did one of those jumps. Awesome energy. Like, I tell you about the energy.
You remember when they were doing those jumps?
I start shaking when I think about it. You're like, this is it.
Because no one had combat jumps. So they were like, combat jumps.
That's right. It actually going.
Yeah, that's right.
Fall. And so, nobody had experience. And this was just phenomenal. You were getting I need a red, we need a green laser. Okay, shows up 2 days. You're like, where the hell? We're in Oman. Where did this come? Unbelievable. So we packed up, but under Mattis, he was going to take the first Marine battalion on foot. So this conventional landing, this trip was insane. You probably heard about this. So we staged out of Masira, and we ended up going to the USS Peleliu, okay, to do all mission. This was all happening on the fly. So we flew out there. We were going to join up. We were going to embed 4 of us. Yours truly was the comm guy. There was a warrant officer, Mark Lee. I don't know if you remember him.
I don't know Warrant Officer Lee.
I know, same name as Mark Lee, but this was Warrant Officer Mark Lee. I think his first name was Mark. Big, black, yoke dude. He was the Buds instructor too, famous in the teams at the time. He had been out of the game for a little while, and I remember we got these new GPSs. Never good to get a new toy when you're going in, by the way. Not a good idea. But we got these new high-speed GPSs that weren't the big pluggers or the muggers. We got the little Garmins for the first time. Like, yeah, this is great. And I remember him on the side of the deck of the Peleliu because he was going to go in with us. And this is what was going on back then. Not even part of the platoon.
Teams or no?
He was in the teams. He was a warrant officer. Been over at Dam Neck, I believe, for a while. But one of those guys that was, come back in the game. Everybody wanted to get in the game. Everybody was coming out. They were dusting off.
Bro,
guys in Virginia were like, I'm coming.
We had a sign on the tent at K&B that said, never before have so few been led by so many. Because every one of the officers,
brilliant.
Every one of the officers, all the older guys, the storms and the shields. So the storms and the shields, they were like, hey, we got to get ours. And they came in, got it when the getting was good, man.
Oh, yeah. They came out of nowhere, these guys, legends of the teams.
They just were standing there like, okay, let's do this.
I remember teaching him how to use the GPS, and I'm like, it hit me at one point on the sides. I go, the dangerous times we're in. Like, I teach this guy GPS, and we're going into Afghanistan tomorrow night. So we went from the USS Peleliu in LHD, I believe it's in LHD, where the Marines that's what they deployed on. The helicopters were on there. We had 53s, which the Marines still have. We don't. The Air Force doesn't have anymore. So we took 2 53s. I'm sorry, it gets better. We didn't take 53s from there. We took LCACs. So the hovercrafts, the Navy hovercrafts, we took an LCAC from the Peleliu, crossed the water to Pakistan, got in a bunch of stake trucks, which are nothing more than glorified pickup trucks with wood paneling on the side. Took a bunch of stake trucks on a God knows 8-hour drive up to Jacobabad in Pakistan, and got off there to get on 53s to go in at 3 a.m, low flying into Camp Rhino. I was one of the Rhino guys, to retake a compound that had already been taken early war that had been
That's
left.
the first thing we did.
That's the first thing.
Yep.
First thing we did. And I landed it felt like we crash landed with 70. So it was 4 SEALs. Team 3 had a sniper team in there already watching the compound. And I landed with 75 Marines. Doors opened up. It's 4 team guys. And they just went. Yeah. And that was my intro in Afghanistan.
Oh my gosh,
slugging a 100-pound pack.
It's one of the best places to be is a couple of team guys with a squad of Marines. Because then they're doing their thing. You can just go do yours.
Yep.
So when it was early on like that, was the Taliban in full force? I mean, was there an actual engaged war at that time?
Yeah. So there were pockets, right? So back then, people think we landed. It was just like the Taliban's around. It's hard to find them.
Yeah.
They were hard to find. We had to go to Lashkar, and that's the story I was going to tell you when we almost died. We had free for all. So Mattis was combat leader wise. There's none greater. That guy is one of the best guys I've ever worked for, and it happened to be Marine Corps. He was 1-star at the time, and this guy was. If you were to work with General Patton or see Patton today, it came through, and it was reborn with General Mattis. Like, he was that guy. He would give a speech. He had the helmet, everything but the cigar and the flag, and he had the helmet. And he'd come out and he talked just like Patton. That guy was a war dog, wanted to get after it, and executed. I'll tell you. But we went in there. But it was so. The mission was go find Taliban, and kill him. That was from Mattis's mouth. Find Taliban, kill him. We don't capture him. Find Taliban, kill him. Mm-hmm. So we staged from this compound, this hunting compound in camp. They called Camp Rhino. I mean, the very next day we had Talons coming in, C-130s that are specially made for night landings and combat. They were landing on the dirt. We had CCTs, amazing group, by the way. Air Force, hats off. Made a runway overnight, lit it up. In comes the town. In comes Bob Harward. Admiral Harward came in. We worked for him. And we were off and running every night, looking for. So on the third night, we had a lot of crazy stuff happen at Rhino. The helicopter crash. Some guys died right there at the base. Couldn't lift off. Brownout, crashed. Bullets going off. We're behind a wall. But the third or fourth night, we went out on patrol. Just go out. We think there's a target here. We had been watching it the day before. We went back out. We were going to assault this target. We knew it was Taliban fighters. We don't know about armor. Intel was sparse. So we got in our 5 Humvees, grouped up, patrolled. This also was one of the main problems with going in at that time, doing interoperability with other forces, like other conventional forces. We had never done that. It was part of the workup. We didn't work with Marine Corps. Radios, comms, became a problem. We rolled out there. We had a plane up in the sky called J-Stars. right? I was also JTAC, so I'm talking to them. They're vectoring us in a couple miles away, miles away from this target. We're rolling over the desert dunes, and we got air support. And it wasn't requested, but they were signed. And so it was, have you heard of a hunter killer team? Okay, a hunter killer team in the Marine Corps is a Huey and an Apache. And not an Apache, what's their gunship? Cobra. So it was a Huey and a Cobra. So they're attached to each other. And they kind of came over the radio, couldn't really get in touch with them, like coming in, we could hear them. Okay, guys, what's the protocol there? We're going to light our fireflies so they know we're friendlies. These are little infrared things you can see with night vision. Mm-hmm. And so we lit the fireflies. Everybody had one on their helmet. That's when glint tape became so cool. Like, oh, glint tape shines in the dark, right? Off IR lights. So we lit up the fireflies. They're lighting. I could see them. Night vision on the radio, back of a Humvee, no top on the Humvees. And they get closer and closer. And all of a sudden, guns light up.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, took me 1 second to realize they're firing. What's in front of us? They've got to be firing something. Clearly, they see us. They weren't firing at anything. There's nothing in front of us. They're firing at us. And immediately, I recognize, and it's getting louder and louder. And now it's spitting off, kicking off the back. And I radio to the patrol. I go, they're firing at us. They're like, call ceasefire. We got to call ceasefire. And I'm trying to. This is what I was talking about, interoperability and comms checks and doing this. The radios didn't work. Marines were on a different frequency. The crypto was different. You had to keep up back then with the crypto. And if you weren't up to date, we were up to date, but they were on a different. It was a nightmare. Couldn't get in touch with anybody. Now
Did they see that?
So apparently during the debrief, they thought that the fireflies were tracer fire.
Oh
now remember, 9/11, brand new war. Guys hadn't seen this before.
Yeah.
They don't know what the hell they were looking at. And well, anyway. Next thing, we speed up and we're trying to find now cover from probably the most dangerous killing team that you could possibly have on your tail. And so we go up over dunes. They're getting closer and closer. Next thing you know, I hear it. 2.75-inch rocket hits probably about 10 yards, 15 yards from the back Humvee. The Humvee comes up off the ground, lands. And I'm like, I'm in the third Humvee looking back. And I'm like, we just lost, probably. We had to have lost a couple guys right there. And I'm like, drive out. So now I'm on the radio calling back to our guys. We had our own little talk in there. And so I'm calling back and I go, you got to run in there. And I'm screaming. I'm like not being calm at this point, which is not good radio protocol, but I was screaming. I go, now I thought we'd lost guys. And so somehow, one of the petty officers, this little petty officer that was attached to us, ran in there, got him called ceasefire. The helos kind of drifted off. The eeriest feeling in 21 years in the teams. From all the operations in Iraq and Afghanistan, this was the eeriest feeling. The Humvees came to a screeching, rolling halt, and we stopped. It seemed like an hour of silence. It was probably about 15 seconds. This is what it sounded like. If I stopped talking, that's what it sounded like. In the desert, not far from Lashkar, by the way. At this point, I don't even know what direction we were headed in. And one by one, people picked their heads up, and then our task unit commander is like, give me a head count, head count, head count. He's screaming to the Alpha, Golf 1, Golf 2, 3, 4. Everybody is alive. Nobody is hurt. We had outrun the deadliest force in the world, the United States, right? Our own guys.
You talk to them after?
Oh, yeah. So that's another story. So everybody said, yeah, the damages, the vehicles was minimal at best. Some frags, some bullets. I could not believe there was a lot. I looked up and the feeling of just like, oh, we could have got attacked from the side. We could have got an ambush at the side. At this point, I couldn't care less.
So did it flip your Humvee or
no? It didn't flip over. Just lifted it off the ground.
Yeah,
lifted it off the ground.
But
I mean, to have rockets fired from the most technologically advanced helicopters in the world.
Thank God that guy was a bad shot.
Yeah, well, and it's, by the way, it's not an E6 flying that plane. These are field grade officers, probably behind the wheel. these things. Not an 18-year-old. I'm sure it's an 18-year-old on the gunner, but the door gunner. But
it's a great story now.
Yeah, we went back to the compound.
Yeah, how'd that
reset. Go? Mattis came in. Before Mattis walked in the next morning, SEAL team almost beat up 2 majors from the Marine Corps. Like it was rough in that room. Walked in there and the shouting immediately. There was no cordial. It was like, yeah, but you fucking killed us. Came back. Doors open up, and I can't make it. It's like Hollywood. Doors open up. Mattis comes in. Tilted helmet. Stop! I was unbelievable. Stop! Everybody. He goes,
when one of them come floating in the door, you kind of know it.
He goes, everybody alive over here? Everybody alive over here. We escaped the big one. Now let's get back out, unify, and go kill the enemy. Go. Yeah. You just immediately went, okay. He's not wrong. Right? He's not wrong. So that was Intro to Afghanistan 101.
That is insane.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
When did you cross over to being an officer?
2004.
One of my favorite things about SEAL officers are SEALs trying to be officers. I think it's awesome.
I think it's the greatest thing ever.
I mean, to watch you guys have to deal with that part, especially the Mustangers.
They don't do that anymore. Now it's knife and fork school.
Really?
So I always thought to myself, when you go to OCS, back in the day, you would have to go to boot camp again. You could be in umpteenth years and still have to go to this boot camp, 13 weeks of whatever it was. I don't know. It never made sense to me as I was applying to these programs. And they changed it. I finally always said, doesn't some admiral see that somebody, especially after 9/11, like now you got guys with combat experience coming in, different breeds, different levels of experience. Why are we going to boot camp again? Anyway, I ended up having to do that, of course. I take the hardest path.
Yep, because we do. That's what we do.
Now they go to knife. Now they just
now it's changed. That's right.
Gentleman's course.
I think my brother went to the last one.
He may have been. Yeah, he may have. He was, 08?
Well, I think so.
06? Yeah.
Was he an officer when we got married?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Your brother and I took almost the same routes. Almost the same routes.
Kind of good one. Both coasts,
yeah,
too.
Yep.
So, isn't it true early on in the war, a lot of our deaths were friendly fire?
100%. So I was about to tell that story. 2 days after that incident in Afghanistan, we were on a bird going to Kandahar because of that. It made the news. Team of ODA called in a strike on themselves.
Oh.
In a firefight.
I remember that.
We had the medics, CD and everybody. We went up there, grabbed the bodies. Unbelievable. And brought them back and had to ID them. It was horrible.
Wasn't that the Pat Tillman era too?
Tillman was a little bit later. Yeah. When was Tillman? I don't know what year Tillman was.
Pat Tillman.
04?
Yeah, it wasn't long after. I mean, 3 years into the conflict still have, but you're right. It was
when the Air Force called the JDM in because the batteries on the GPS were low and it reconfigured to their position.
Yep.
Thinking about getting a new car? It's exciting, but it can be a bit overwhelming too, right? That's why Navy Federal Credit Union is here to make the whole process super duper easy. From start to finish, their car buying center has got you covered. Whether you're researching, financing, buying, or protecting your new ride, everything you need is all in one place. You can even check out vehicle history reports and snag some special member incentives. And if you're getting a new car, maybe it's time to think about a new home too. Navy Federal has even got your back there. They're all about helping military members and their families achieve homeownership. With their new no refi rate drop option, you can buy a home now, and if rates drop later, you can lower your rate later without having to refinance. Plus, with mortgage options that include 0 down payment, you don't have to wait forever to save up. At Navy Federal, it's all about their members. If you want to know more, go head on over to NavyFederal.org. Navy Federal is insured by the NCUA. Membership is required. Equal housing lender.
We definitely had some kinks to work out in the beginning.
Oh, yeah. There's no way you could go in with joint forces like that and It's crazy.
We did all get smashed together.
Yep.
That was the craziest part about
Yep.
it. You're sitting out there somewhere, and then someone would walk up like, "Who are you?" Being Marine, there's the Army. Well, there's the agency. They showed up. You could tell who they were.
I'll tell you one concept that did work though was that different SEAL teams, could join up successfully and operate seamlessly.
Yeah,
We went in with Team 3. Yeah, I think that worked out really well, and that proved the concept that we have. I think that's why training has gotten better in the teams.
It's now the teams.
Yeah.
Like used to be, it would be the
Right.
SEAL team, but
Right.
now we can all interrupt together.
Well, and y'all started augmenting a lot.
Yep.
Everything. I mean, that was the place to be. When he talks about that golden cruise box and everything opened up in 9/11. If you just so happened to be in there when that came down,
Oh yeah. Yep.
it was game on. It was the best place to be.
Authorities and money.
So
When
what?
did you?
Oh, no. What was your role with Red Wing?
So Red Wing, so many stories in between.
If you want to get to those, we can
No.
do that.
We'll,
Yeah.
we'll get there, I'm sure, at some point. But Red Wings is interesting to me for a lot of reasons. It also has to do with Extortion 17, those two. Because how I ended up in the place I was at both times is like, I might as well hit the lottery. So the story goes, right? Everybody has a story. I could have been, should have been, would have been. Story goes, when I went to OCS, it has to do with an OCS story, 2004. I was a plank owner at 10, and as an enlisted guy, by administrative reasons, Team 8 rolled the whole platoon. I was a plank owner at 10, which I'm proud to be. It was awesome to be a plank owner of the SEAL team. Yeah, one of the best certificates
That means
I
he
have.
was there when it started.
Yeah, I got a letter from Bush with the original coin, which Team
Cool.
10's original coin said victory through violence, which they stopped making. Now it's victory through valor. But I have the original victory through violence. It's an awesome.
All of our
coin.
stuff starts off cool like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So plank owner at 10 as an enlisted guy. I had applied to OCS. I got so busy when I finally got in the teams that OCS fell off. I always said, I have a degree, maybe I'll go later. And then 9/11 happened and all hell broke loose, and I was just having a ball, right? Just doing my thing. Then years, and next thing you know, it's 2004. I had applied, I think, in 2002, and at the time, SEALs only got 2 spots a year for officer candidate school. 2. I think they still only get 2 because you have to divvy it up between all the other programs. My first package got denied, or I didn't get picked up for OCS, and I ended up putting another package in around 04 and got picked up. So I had a better resume. The thing was, my resume went from this in 98 to this all of a sudden because of the conflict. And so a better resume, better experience. And anyway, I got picked up and was supposed to go. I went in August or the summer of 2004. My platoon, the guys that were on the Bird, Jack Fontaine, Jeff Taylor, those guys, that was my platoon. I would have stayed at 10 and I got denied, enlisted. Would things have changed administratively? Could I have moved out of a platoon? Usually you stayed with a group of core guys. You were a comm guy. You stayed with those guys. I always think back and I go, what? Was I supposed to be on that Bird? Like, could I have been on that Bird? Of course. You could have been a million places. Would have happened. Chances are low, but I always think about that. Could I have been? Was that not my fate that day to be on that Bird? But as fate would have it, in 2004, I went right to OCS. Skipped right through that, and then went right to SEAL Team 4 and deployed to Baghdad in 05. And I was sitting in Baghdad when Red Wing went down.
You were with the half of my guys, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
half of our guys.
That's right.
That was a great platoon of 10.
Davini was in no, who was the guy in the top? Anyway, yeah, we had SDV guys running the top.
Yeah, that's him.
We had Predator feed. We somehow got Predator feed to what was going on. I remember waking up that day. River City was called. River City is a code name for radio comms are shut down because we had a loss of life or something happened bad. So you never want to wake up to a River City. I woke up. I was AOIC of platoon, now an officer in Iraq. We had been operating every night. We were doing PSD thing and then assaults, split up. And I'll never forget that, coming into the talk and getting as much information as we had known at the time. In fact, there was talk, wouldn't have happened looking back at the logistics, but we were on standby. Everybody in the team's on standby, right? First of all, they want to go. Like, they don't have any forces. You guys are on standby. We may have to go to Afghanistan tomorrow. We got to get these guys, and we're looking for a guy. I go, really? And so every day checking in on the scene over and over and over again, making sure.
Well, they flew the rest of my platoon over from there.
Yep.
I saw them.
Yep.
Because the rest of
we were all
our platoon was still in the on the mountain.
You know all this already, but we were all ready to go, and there wasn't a single goddamn guy that would. We are here like I'll go.
Talk about stirring some fools up, bro. When that happened to us, and that word came out, every team, it didn't matter where they were at on the planet.
You could have been diving in Puerto Rico.
They'd have been, let's go.
But that's great support. Like that support would.
And I knew that was happening.
Yeah.
Throughout that whole week when I was missing, I knew y'all were getting stirred up.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I
could feel it.
That's an amazing.
I could feel it. And it's one of the reasons it helped get me through it. I was like, I know my boys are fired up.
You know, team guys are going to come.
I knew they were going to come.
If you're alive,
or dead.
Never mind.
Or yeah, or dead.
We're going to get the dead, but if you're alive, there's just something kicking in that the guys just want to race over and go in, and that's a great feeling, because I don't know there's not a lot of communities that would be that fired up, and even if they didn't get authorities, I could tell you, guys would have went anyway. They would have found their way.
So what day did y'all, you said you woke up that morning and there was predator feed. So that would have been on the 29th.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's when they went in with drone or whatever. So that was, the guys had already been killed by that point.
Yep. Yeah.
Yes.
We had grainy at best footage of the helicopter site. That's what we were looking at.
Of the site.
Yeah. Of the site after it had gone shot down.
Yeah.
And the mountainside, it couldn't really, we couldn't analyze anything from where we were at, obviously. But yeah, I remember that. And then, focused on the guys that were on that. We all knew who was on that helicopter, and
yeah. But that's how y'all knew exactly where to go to recover any remains, or were you on that?
Nope.
Any other recovery?
I stayed in Baghdad. We stayed in Baghdad, did our thing. But the irony of the whole thing was when Extortion 17 went down August 6th, 2011, I was in Baghdad again.
Oh my gosh.
You can't make it up. River City came across again. And I couldn't believe it at that point. This is where the whole, career is like, are you kidding me? Another helicopter crash? And I'm sitting in Baghdad again? And there's a helpless part of you, because you know that.
How you been through it?
Well, you just want to get involved too. And you can't, you're just like,
Gotta sit by and watch everybody else do it.
I don't know.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
When you're on the sideline, after you've already been through it.
Yeah, but you know how it goes. It's hit or miss.
When'd you come out?
2017, August 1st.
And you came back here, Texas?
Yeah, so I stayed. My kids from my other marriage are in Coronado. They're landlocked in Coronado. And so I picked up a job with a financial firm that I still work for today. Same job. Made mistakes along the way there too, because I never took time off. I went right from retirement. This is advice, by the way, for any team guy that ever listens to the show. I made pretty much every mistake a middle-aged man can make at that point. I had gotten some mentorship that said, hey, when you get out, 21 years of being in those 3 decades, you need to take 6 months out. You need to take terminal leave off. Which, by the way, terminal leave. Why do we call it terminal leave? It's an awful terminal, death leave.
Death from the team.
Why do they call it terminal leave? Anyway, one of my mentors said, take 6 months off. You earned time in the military. I think I listened. I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, I didn't do it. Went right to work.
How did you do that, though? Were you already looking for jobs while you were in the teams?
Yeah, I had been doing some. I was at Buds, so I was able to do some internship work on weekends. I was working some, family offices up in Del Mar, California, and just getting contacts, mostly through the benevolent organizations, the SEAL Foundation, whatnot. They were good. Board members that lived in California. I was doing that type of stuff, trying to just see. Still had no idea what the hell I wanted to do. Right? It's like, what are your skills? A lot of self introspection, right? What value? And this is why fourth phase is being born.
Let's talk about that.
What value do team guys bring? They often question their skills. I remember talking to guys at Damnat Gold Squad, different squadrons, that salty guys, tons of experience, guys you want in any battle in the SEAL teams. And they were worried about getting out. And you look at these guys and you're like, what in the world? Worried about what they're going to do. And what do they end up doing? They end up attaching themselves to a command because they have the knowledge there. I get it. Is it happiness? I don't think so. My opinion is I don't think so.
No, there's no operator likes, we complain about that.
No, yeah.
Having to do that.
They feel like they still belong. But we have so many, what I found is we have so many skills and our skill set is so vast. You just need to. It's all lexicon. That's the trick that the civilians play on you. It's like lexicon. Oh, financial sheets. Profit and loss. We dealt with everything that you deal with out in the civilian world. I can tell you, we dealt with in the military, even as an enlisted guy. Inventory, logistics, money, you name it. And so, yeah, I didn't take time off though, and mostly out of survival. Here I am, single dad, 4 kids, young. I just had it in my mind. You got to earn, because if you don't, you're going to let some people down. Mm-hmm. And I never took time for myself, ever, until I met that one over there, who saved my life, pretty much.
They do that.
Find a good swim buddy.
Yeah, the women.
Find a good swim buddy. It's one of the things McCraven missed in his speech. Find a good swim buddy.
Yeah.
And when you get one, never go 6 feet.
Yeah.
I might add that to the speech. I make my bed every morning.
His speech is awesome, though. We have to give McCraven major
I make my kids watch it almost on a quarterly basis.
I make my kids make
on
their bed.
YouTube in the kitchen, it's playing.
Yeah, it is. Do
you know the only one that listens to it, though? It's me. They all leave the room with their... And I'm like, that's right, Bill. I worked for him twice.
You're like
he's one of my mentors. He's one of my mentors. I love that guy. I think he's a phenomenal speaker. I've spent time in his office when he was chancellor. Like, he is just one of a kind.
I think your swim buddy, and really associating your wife as your swim buddy is super important.
100%.
Not just your wife, but I remember learning, because I didn't know anything about the teams before I met Marcus. So, we met and married like that. There was no dating time. We just went straight in. And I was just trying to soak up as much information as I could, especially because at the time, this was 2010, the story of Lone Survivor was still very, very, like, everybody was talking about it. I was meeting a lot of the families of the fallen, and I'm trying to, like, piece together who's who and be respectful of everyone, but also make sure he has time alone and all of those things, and learning about Buds and learning about everything he went through. The swim buddy is something that really, like, checked off for me. And I was like, look, if we are always on the same page, then we can get through anything. And I remember us calling each other swim buddy from the very, very beginning. But a lot of guys don't do that.
No, they don't look at it that way.
Yeah, they don't look at it that way.
They're missing the point.
It's the only way you can look at it as a team guy.
Yeah.
I thought of this a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Find a good swim buddy.
Trust me, I put some thought into this, man. And our guys, if you do it that way, it changes everything. The perspective, the worst thing that happens to a team guy is they get out and stuck. And we're not an active SEAL anymore, but you can't pull that stuff out of us.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
It's almost like you just went undercover. You're in civilian clothes, but you're still on the job.
Yep.
And Marcus's swim buddy, actually, when he retired, or even before he retired, he took a job here as the SEAL recruiter for Houston. So he lived right down the street. Yeah. He would come over and cook dinner for us all the time. He loved to cook. And he became almost like a brother to me. And he was Marcus's swim buddy. He was there no matter what Marcus needed, and vice versa. He ended up dying a few years ago.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest problems I have with post-SEAL community. This is for all the team guys out there. What happens is the competition, the competitive nature that we have, that's born into us. And Marcus and I talked about this a little bit last time, how there's a couple SEAL billionaires out there. Mm-hmm. Who are they? I have no friggin' idea. Warcom doesn't tell you.
Yeah.
SEALs leave and they go, I can do my own thing. It's in there. Now they're not with a team, and they feel like they're going thrown to war as a solo without a swim buddy, and they're going out there and they're doing that. If we just kind of harnessed, I'm telling you, it boggles my mind to this day that I could name 6 guys right now that should get together. This is a good idea. No, this is a good idea. Just do a little whiteboard session. Mm-hmm. You got a company.
Well, it ought to be mandatory.
Not only just a company to have a company, but a company that actually does something with value.
Yeah.
When we get out, the detailer ought to know who's getting out at a certain day, and if you get out with a guy, that's your swim buddy while you're out.
Yeah,
you should be assigned one. You got one when you got in. When you get out, you got a guy you got to check on every week just to see if he's not in a corner by himself, because team guys will get out by themselves. They'll be too far in the field, too long, and they'll kind of.
No, I agree.
I think that's what Honor Foundation is doing now.
No, but I mean a freaking assignment.
Yeah.
Like, like a pen pal.
They've tried. These organizations have tried. They're honorable, right? They set out, but then you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 70 organizations.
Yeah.
Going to team guys. Have you ever seen the veterans webpage? That's what they tell you at TAP class when you get out of the military. They throw up a screen. There's like links. Everybody's used to now it's just so many links. It gives me heart palpitations looking at. So you don't click on them.
Yeah.
You feel like left out. And I think team guys with all the skill in the world, like I said, their skill set, just relationship building alone, which gets you through 90% of the world's jobs. By the way, you can learn like I said, you can learn the lexicon. Lexicon's easy. That's their trick words. Try to keep you out of that industry. We can break through that easy, right? I did. I'm fine. What do I know about hedge funds? Nothing. Zero. You can learn it on the way. You just need to know the lexicon. Relationships matter. And we build relationships in everything we do. Mm-hmm. Afghanistan, Iraq, sitting down having tea in Africa. God, I can't tell you how many times I did. Over and over again. Building relationships. Just like we said earlier. I can go to another country probably. I can go to Tunisia. Maybe not after the Arab Spring, but there was a point where I could have, and Morgan knows this because he took over for me in Tunisia. Well, I can go to Tunisia probably tomorrow, find the guys I was with, and their homecoming would be out of this world. We'd have lamb, couscous.
Oh, yeah.
We would sit down. Yeah. I'm telling you, the relationship, those in the corporate world, they can't get enough people to have these kids coming out of college. Yeah. They can't make relationships like that. These are real world relationships. That value, kidding me? It's crazy.
And that's what you're bringing to the table.
Yeah.
Is it not your sniper skill set? It's what goes into being a sniper. Right. Your discipline, your patience, all that stuff like that. It's just rewording it. But team guys are great at building relationships because of who we are. Right. You got every alpha known to man in one spot. You can't normally just walk into a room full of them and become buddies.
Right.
That's not how that works.
Right. And you got all the characteristics of an elite team, which makes for a perfect relationship builder. Perfect. So when I do my public speaking, I talk about characteristics of an elite team. That's what I talk about. Humility. Make time for humor. You'd be surprised at how many times that gets a corporation. Like they're in there, especially today, where you can't even say like, "Oh God,
anything."
Oh, it's a black lady, it's an Asian. Like I can't say anything. Not a good culture. Those cultures will fail every time. Mm-hmm. Make time for humor, accountability, humility. Which if you're not humbled every day in this life, like I am, like I just coming on this ranch. The first time I came, what was it, a month ago? Came out to visit you guys. Those gates opened up, and boy, did a humble pie hit. Man, I was just so overjoyed. Humility with appreciation, right? I walked on this thing. He was talking. I'm just like this. Crystal's next to me, and I'm like, I'm in awe, humbled. I like to be humbled. I think it gets you through life, makes you kind, keeps you honest. But humility is you got to have it. And in the teams, you get served that every single day, humble pie. If you're not humbled, you'll self-select out.
Through buds, into the teams, you're always getting your ass kicked. Everyone's always beat to death. It's a great attitude.
Yep.
It's just molding a great attitude. If you got one of those, you can be the CEO or the president or anything.
Yep.
So what's fourth phase?
So that's, fourth phase was born from all this stuff when I watch guys struggle through transition and people in general, but this is not geared towards just military or operators. It's geared to everybody. Everybody's, they talk about the 3 phases of life: early childhood, middle childhood, retirement. They actually call it retirement if you look at it. Hindus have the same thing. They have 3 different Hindu words for those phases of life, like the god of the beginning and the middle and death. I don't agree, and a lot of these come from like Carl Jung and philosophy and all this stuff. I don't agree with what happens is society tells us we have to cut a mold. You are cut into this mold. This is how it is. This is how it is. And then retirement, really, that block, and fourth phase, really like the 3 phases of buds, but can overlap any one of the phases. That's why this is geared toward everybody. It's really how to concentrate on living in the day, taking advantage of resetting yourself and living today the right way so that you can avoid the pitfalls of tomorrow, but not looking too much to the future. It's resetting. Fourth phase is a reset phase for everybody. How to stay healthy, how to be fit, how to be mentally strong, how to cope with divorce. Like the topics are vast. We can talk about anything. We team guys have experience in everything. unfortunately, some of the stuff is, but nobody wants to address it. And people always look to the future, and they're stuck in this, they're stuck in their holes of, finances or small problems. Team guys are the best built to mentor people, to give advice, to have just to have talks. Even you're going to get something out of it about how to solve those problems, how to deal with today, because people don't reset and enjoy the moments. Moments are fleeting. One thing is finite, and it's death, right? People, they're told by society that this is how it has to go. You have to live this phase, and this phase, and then you're gone into retirement. And they classify themselves, and they live that way.
Yeah.
We're going to try to reset that.
And
one person at a time.
You're doing that on a podcast.
We do. We're starting the Fourth Phase podcast.
You and your wife.
Me and my wife, and she is really the podcast. I mean, I'll be on talking, but look, again, I say have a good swim buddy. None of this would be happening. She found me at probably, look at me on paper, like I look like a paper tiger, like, he's killing, team guy. Oh, he's crushing it. It's working for a hedge fund. Yeah, right. Barely surviving. 4 kids. Brutal divorce. Don't want to talk about it because I love my kids. Don't want to talk bad about anybody. But brutal divorce. 7 years going on. 7 years of battle. I've been battling ever since I came out of the teams. Surviving. Not wanting to let anybody down. People pleasing. Doing this. And when you find your swim buddy, if they find you at the lowest point, that's a keeper. Mm-hmm. Because there's nothing else to hide, right? Your armor's off. Your swim buddy finds you at the lowest time and saves your life. I'm going to get emotional. I don't want to get on TNQ, but that's the one over there. I'll tell you right now. She had the motivation that has come into me, and I'm like, what am I working in corporate work for? I'm going to start my own thing. We have enough knowledge, wisdom between the two of us. And so, yeah. So if it wasn't for that woman, I wouldn't be doing it. I am so the motivation that came back. It's like, and of course, Ibogaine treatment had something to do with that. Really set me the right way. Mm-hmm. Like I never thought I was that guy. Most of them don't, right? You're not that guy. You're not having troubles. You're not depressed. You're not having that. And you kid yourself with the stuff that you have, right? Oh, my job's killer. Like not many team guys can do my job. Not many team guys can do my job. Been very fortunate, by the way. My salary just keeps me there, right? You want to be doing something that you guys are doing, that you open up, you actually enjoy, just to think about just doing something different. You can't be afraid. You will fail, and you need to fail. People need to fail because from failure launches a whole new life lesson. And that's what Fourth Phase is about in a nutshell. And we're super excited to have this opportunity. We can't wait to just touch. If I touch just one person, just one. Yeah. Job's done.
Well, that's what'll get you. As soon as that one types in and says, hey, you saved my life.
Yeah.
I mean, the greatest gift we got out of SEAL teams was how to save a life. Can you believe that? I never thought about that until somebody pointed it out to me. But I was like, hey, man, that's it. So if you just get on there and talk and get one person, save one. Yep. Just freaking save one.
Yep.
Well, good job, man.
Yeah, so it's growing. I mean, we'll have we start the two of us together. We're like, we need someone in there to help us, and you guys have helped guide us a little bit. There's we start thinking of t-shirts. Like Crystal made this t-shirt.
I love it.
Just because of, if Morgan was here today, Morgan would be telling you, because this guy travels with ribeyes on a plane. What is wrong with him?
Morgan does?
No, me.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me.
That's where the shirt comes from. There's a little FPP in there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we started. It just that became like, she's been designing t-shirts. I mean, she can do it all.
So funny.
I mean, the good is she could build a house, like I said earlier. She's so now we're all into that, and we have great ideas. Just to have a great,
If you get out there and have fun with it, everybody else will have fun with you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be genuine, have fun, teach something.
How can people follow you? What do we need to? How can people get in touch with you and reach you?
So the website is jjparma.com. It was the original website built up for when I was doing public speaking, and that's still available. But our focus is going to be with July or August. We should be able to kick off here. We, thanks to Hunter and all his help, I really appreciate that.
This will air in July or August.
Yeah. We'll start filming. We'll start filming this month.
Yeah.
Good for you, man.
Yeah.
Good luck.
The Fourth Phase podcast.
I love it.
Thanks for your service too, man.
Are you going to have an
thank you.
Instagram or anything?
Yes. What is the handle, babe? The Fourth Phase Podcast.
Spelled out or the number 4?
Spelled out. We just found out from her 18-year-old genius daughter that when you have a number, an actual number, it's a bot account, or taken for a bot account.
I'm too old to know.
See what you can learn from the young. I know. I want to know. How would I know that?
They're the
I'll
ones that
spend
come
time
up
on-
with the codes.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Like we thought we got everything. Hey man, we've been smashing crypto our whole lives. We've been doing all this. These suckers come in and just rewrite the code.
Oh, I think they need to rewrite the code because we didn't always have. I mean, what other way is there?
They definitely need to rewrite the code.
We can name them golf 1, golf 2.
Bro, we're the X-Men, right? We're the kind of that.
They don't want to wear glint tape.
Y'all are better than us. Stay better.
They don't want to wear glint tape.
Yeah.
That's
Be better
awesome.
than us.
Thank you for coming on.
Oh, thanks for
Here's your
having. This was a
story.
blast.
Yeah.
This was awesome. Thanks for having me.
This is the Team Never Quit podcast.
So buckle up, Buttercup.